You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today is a newcomer to the LFC scene. She will be making her debut at LFC 37, back to the mansion against newcomer Rudy, the Booby, Vuitton. Ziva Fey, how you doing today? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Mike. I'm very excited to be here today, and I'm very excited for my debut with my friend Ruby the Booty Vuitton.
Now, here's the thing I got to say first and foremost. Ruby the Booty Vuitton is another exceptional athlete, much like yourself. You two have had some chemistry in the modeling world, the catfighting world, another amazing athlete. So how does that feel to have the chemistry that you had outside the LFC auspices, and now y'all are bringing it to the LFC?
So I'm bringing her to Vegas just for general modeling, and I've been connecting with LFC for a very long time, trying to get a debut for actually a few years, and they happen to just be like on Valentine's Day there's a match. And I was like, well, I'm gonna be in town February 15th, and I was just like, I can come in town a day earlier for an opportunity like this. And I was like, I'll have my friend with me. She's trying to fight more because she really has only done, the cat fighting customs and this and that. So would you like to hire us to go? I'm very go-getter. I ask. I was just like, would you like to? And you guys said yes. And so we both get to debut just because took that leap and had that chutzpah and was like, will you hire me and my friend? So yeah, I'm really, really excited. Really excited.
I will say, folks, take notes because that's how you do it. You have to go get it. You have to be that go getter and go for what you want. And for you, I'm going to say this right now. It's that nice little transition because in the world of lingerie fighting championships, there's session girls, there's talent fetish modelers, there's so many great people of many different facets of life. So I think you kind of fit in there like a hand in glove, Miss Ziva Fey.
Thank you very much. I do a little bit of everything that you've mentioned. I'm a session girl, so you can find me on Session Girls. I'm available for hire. I do regular lingerie modeling, boudoir, fashion. I used to be Insta famous twice, working on getting the account back or making a new one. We'll see. I'm on it. I'm on Twitter, various different accounts. Do model coaching. I'm pretty multifaceted in the modeling world. Fetish modeling gigs, fetish sessions. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this because like Foxy boxing is just and is kind of pretty similar,
Mhm.
and that's pretty much my jam. So lingerie fighting, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a lot of fun.
I always compare it to, and I always see the similarities and how it kind of coincides. Back in the day, we had the Lingerie Football League, which was badass. It's badass women looking beautiful, looking sexy, all in the while just kicking ass on the football field, the gridiron, if you will. So you include the overall athleticism, you provide that sex appeal. It's a winning combination.
I think I remember that.
Right? It was such a big thing. Like you had so many
Yeah.
people. Ty Emery was a part of it, who is now doing her thing in bare knuckle fighting. The woman who would become Summer Rae in the WWE was a part of LFL. So a lot of famous alumni.
Cool. Yeah, I think I remember that. And they only wore like pads right here or something
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yes, and then like mouth. Yes. Okay, I remember that. That was yeah. And I am classically trained in Taekwondo and WTF,
Mhm,
specifically World Taekwondo Federation, Taekwondo. And
mhm.
I do have a junior black belt. So I'm really interested to see what I can bring to the table because I know a lot of people, a lot of the talented women that are at LFC are like more classically trained in like Muay Thai, like grappling sports.
Yes.
Grappling, traditional WWE wrestling and Taekwondo is not grappling like that. It's striking.
Right. I always kind of
Some
confirm. No, you actually make a great point here. And here's what I'll add to what you're saying here, because you made a
yeah.
valid point. There's so many great tie-ins with MMA and pro wrestling, how we've seen those worlds coincide and really kind of mix over the years with the relationships that we've had. So LFC has that mix of a little bit of MMA, a little bit of wrestling, and a little bit of clothing. And for you, I'm going to say this. You are part of the newly christened Team Healthy Male, the blue team, coached by Audrey Monique. You got Shaylin on there. You got pro wrestler Danica De La Rouche. You got JoJo the Hammer Hamner. So a lot of newbies and a lot of great veteran talk here on Team Healthy Male. Absolutely. So for you, you're part of this new team. You also got new people that you're seeing there. You're taking on your friend here, Ruby. For you, I got to say, not just the experience there, but you are classified as one of the upcoming debuts. And I got to say, like you mentioned earlier, going and dipping your toe into many things. I want to start with the modeling here for you because god dang, woman, beautiful imagery. I've seen your portfolio. I want to talk about how modeling came into it for you. What kind of gravitated you toward that path?
Just the opportunity to be an actress, something that I wasn't per se, and to have like the small space to create. I've always really been an artist. I've always been a little kid that was drawing and into like Fantasyland, you know. So being able to like bring these like drawings and creations that are in my head to life, I was like, what? And it's like kind of like being an actress on like a smaller scale. Instead of being in a movie, I get a photo set, which really gives me a very similar fulfillment. And it's translated more and more into like now I'm doing more. I've been in one fetish movie. So hire me for your movies. So and yeah, and I do a lot of fetish clips, you know, which can be anywhere from like 10 to 30, 35 minutes, the long ones. And some of the fighting is like you're fighting for those clips, lots of choreography, or you need lots of breaks to cut and just okay, what's the script? Okay. And you get exactly and get back into it. So yeah, it's been really fun. Uh, just I'm multifaceted with the modeling and trying to not keep my eggs all in one basket is kind of the success I've personally had with all of this. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. And I look at it from a stance too, as well, from the modeling world. I mean, as a kid growing up in the 90s here, being a 90s baby, I was one of those guys, man. Everybody talked about Tyra Banks and going towards the America's Next Top Model realm. Talk about Naomi Campbell doing the thing in the closet with Michael Jackson. I'm talking about plus size modeling, women like Ashley Graham, the evolution, so to speak, women come in all different shapes and sizes. The modeling world has such, revolutionized and evolutionized the game. So it's great to see beautiful imagery. And like you mentioned, the badass scenes behind the scenes where really make the shoot and what really encompasses the overall film, right?
Exactly. Yeah, being able to just like have that space to create and truly like let your imagination come to life, and it can be as mundane or as weird as you want. For like in my first portfolio, and it's somewhere on my Model Mayhem if you guys want to check it out. It's my Model Mayhem number is 4074913. Somewhere deep in the beginning of my modeling photos, there's a shoot where I was covered with, I believe it was 20, it was either 15 or 20 gallons of real pure honey, just all over me head to toe, and I had to like pose really beautifully, and they were beautiful photos, but a few people were like, your face is funny right there, and I'm like, yeah, because there's 5 pounds of sugar on my face. I have to keep it really shut and like while being beautiful. So it's also a challenge. The on that note, it's also like a challenge to like be beautiful and do these beautiful things where it's like when you're in the moment, it's like it's actually not, you don't feel so beautiful, but like then you see the photo and it's like really gratifying. You're like, that pose was actually really hard. I didn't feel sexy when I was in that pose. I was strained or stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a fun adventure in a whole because there's so many aspects to modeling. Yeah.
I will say this, folks, for those who have not seen that photo, for those that are familiar with the Mariah Carey song, It's Just Like Honey, that is what I envision looking at that photo with all that honey all over your Ziva Fey. So I get it. But no, that's also at the same time where I look at it from a stance too as well. There's also the cosplaying aspect. You could dress as like a superhero, what have you, that sexy vixen, what have you. There's so many different, like you mentioned, the imaginations and the imagery that goes into said image. Like you need that cosplaying aspect also because it's fun. And also, again, the imagination goes and the creativity. The creativity is key and uniqueness that goes into everything that we do.
Yes, I have. I'm not a like, cosplayer.
Right.
But I cosplay.
Mhm.
And I love Comic-Con, and I have some videos that are like, a little fighty fetish cosplay. I did actually a video with Hit the Mat that was kind of my idea, and I think it's POV. It might not be, but I'm Laura Croft.
Yes.
So, and that's a really popular fight one that's just out there on the market for a few years where, I have that not right now on this podcast that you guys can see because my makeup is a little more fun right now. But I can play up a different look and I look like her with the side braid and the more simple makeup, red lips, and doing a Laura Croft boxing match. It's really popular. So that fight, I have like some katana and some Wonder Woman stuff that's mine. So yeah, and maybe I'll make some more Laura Croft stuff, or I can order a Laura Croft custom. But yeah, like exactly on that note, the cosplay brings its own aspect to the industry because it can be not safe for work, it can be safe for work. There's a lot you can do with it, a lot of different fetishes and fun. Yeah.
That also kind of coincides here because OnlyFans has become such a great outlet for a lot of you ladies, and I look at it from a stance too as well. The one thing that people always gravitate towards with OnlyFans is it's always that image of nudity and stuff like that. Which yes, that's a part, but it's like there's also the community that goes with OnlyFans, the fans, the interaction. So I think OnlyFans has also become a very big thing, not just for women like yourself, but a great platform for content creators in the process.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone that's on OnlyFans does nudity on
Right.
that note. So you can definitely find success in your niche.
Mhm.
A lot of OnlyFans, on that note, is like finding success in a very specific niche, doing your fighting fetish, doing your wet and messy fetish, doing your balloon fetish, doing your clown fetish, you know what I mean? Doing your millions of JOIs, doing your gangbang, you know what I mean? Doing whatever because on the market, it's like on the porn market, okay, there's just a plethora of everything, but it's like, okay, I know that she's a clown girl, or she's a fighting girl, or she's a feet girl, you know what I mean? And I want to see just feet, so a lot of people can find content more specifically through OnlyFans, and that also is another aspect to add what I think is the added success. But I agree that like being able to interact with other models, with the fans, say hello, comment. I like it because it's like exclusive Instagram per se, almost like more comments, more videos, stuff like that. And also for me, it's like you're getting videos and pictures that nobody else is gonna get. So yeah, it's definitely different added value for everybody, however they market themselves. Yeah.
I think from the exclusivity side of things, it really doesn't capture that moment, that overall fantasy and that overall content that you create. And I also look at it from a stance too as well, man. God dang, we talk about the Instagram side of things, the community guidelines shutting a lot of people down, especially models such like yourself. It's like, God dang, man. And the reason I bring up the community guidelines is we see stuff on Instagram, we see stuff on Twitter, social media side of things. But man, there's so many stuff out there that's even worse than what y'all are putting out there. And it's just amazing just to see just how everybody just either gets banned or they have to restart from scratch again, which would be very frustrating. But at the same time, it's like, man, there's so much stuff out there that's worse than what we're seeing. And it all comes back to what you guys are doing. And it can be very frustrating, I'm sure.
I very much agree with you. I mean, the standard in America, the double standard in America of like nudity bad, violence okay, um, is a little crazy where it's like you were born with it, you're born coming out of it. Literally nudity is a part of like, and there's a difference between sexualizing nudity or sexual act and just like nudity or something like that. So censorship is getting a little crazy because it's not really able to, they just decided that they're not going to take the time to, you know what I mean, differentiate. between any of those. They just decided, like, all nudity bad. Whereas, like, exactly, you can see some pretty heinous videos or pictures or story blogs, you know, on the internet. Whereas, like, somebody like me or my friend who's just posting like a bikini, we're wearing bikini
Mhm.
butt pic,
Yep.
deleted.
It's funny
Not
because
nude, but yeah.
right, no, and it's funny, and I don't mean to cut you off because you actually brought up a great point here. TikTok even does that. One of the LFC fighters, one of her profile pictures on there was a bikini photo, and it's just like you mentioned, and then boom, TikTok gets rid of you like that, and it's like it's a bikini photo, you know, like a swimsuit. Like, come on now,
And it's like they wear like those sparkly dazzly bikinis on
right?
cable.
Yeah, like TV,
They,
cable broadcasting.
on
Yep.
TV for hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe I don't know if a million people watch W, but like they wear bikinis on
Yep.
TV.
Yep.
So the censorship for what it truly comes down to, for the viewers who don't know, is it comes down to monetization. They don't like that a lot of us have taken the platforms and use them to monetize our small business, because you know that's what they are essentially, and not paying them for advertisement. You know what I mean?
And
That's what that's what it really truly comes down to, why we keep getting deleted, because they're not making their part of our pie,
right.
which is ludicrous.
Well, it's like you said there, and actually, you kind of got up to the round number here. You had perfect estimation here. So when you watch professional wrestling, for the wrestling fans that tune into this shizo, Monday Night Raw does about 1+ million each and every Monday. SmackDown on Fridays does about 2+ million on Friday. Excuse me. So you have those shows, and mind you, what we're going towards now is focusing on the women. Women can wrestle; they're athletes, but they also got that sex appeal. So it's like, don't tell me for the 1 to 2 million, like 3 million people who watch wrestling and who follow on all sorts of platforms, that you're going to shut us down for this, when even that was professional wrestling. Mind you, we've steered away from bra and panties and that type of combat there that we used to have in WWE, but also at the same time, women are beautiful, they're works of art. Let them show it. If you got it, flaunt it. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Yes, works of art. Yes. I mean, it's not obscene. If it's obscene, then we know, you know, people know, adults know the difference between nude and lewd and like obscenity. You know what I mean? And if it's not even walking, some of these bikini photos and stuff like that that are deleted, they're not even really walking the line. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, they're just very anti sex worker industry, you know, which is a tragedy. It sucks. So yeah, nothing I can do about it. A lot of people are trying to, like, you know, do our little protests and do what we can, but there's only, for it being such a huge industry, like adult industry in general, just the whole umbrella, for it being a multi-billion-dollar industry, like one, you know, makes as much money as like war,
Mhm.
uh really not represented well, and truly a more small number of, not consumers, producers, than you would think. Like, we all actually know each other, all of us around the world. Like, if you speak English, you know what I mean?
I get it. No,
Yeah. So it's not like being you know, where there's so many of one type of job where there's no way that all the, I don't know, nail techs could know each other in the world.
right. And that's the thing. And I think for those that go to like the fetish modeling side of the adult entertainment industry, and what I love about that is too, you look at in the 90s and the 2000s, everybody would just go to one site, then you'd have to subscribe. But then with streaming sites like Pornhub and everything that comes in, many vids, we talked about OnlyFans earlier. There's so many different outlets out there. And mind you, when you're a kid and you're a teenager, a lot of us with the adult entertainment side of things, there would be a film on at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then now we see everything is so digitalized, everything is so on a streaming platform. We've seen the evolution of technology and what we do. And I look at it from a lingerie fighting championship standpoint, where we get to see this show, LFC 37 Back to the Mansion. It's on the website. It's exclusive for the VIP members. We get to see so many great people, pay-per-view wise, VIP membership. We're getting a chance to showcase each and everything that we do and provide for the talent that we love and provide for the audience that we love. And at the end of the day, that works in we're having. And also at the end of the day, we see the evolution and revolution of technology and really showcase what we have in this world and everything at our fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, people watch. I was just reading an article the other day about how camming is really dying per se right now because a few years ago, everyone used to watch cam shows from their laptops, so they used to type and interact, and now a lot of more things are digitized and at your fingertips and at the phone. More things and more things are on the phone. And so nobody's interacting because the phone doesn't have those even though the phones are so advanced, they still don't have the only like maybe Samsung. Only one of the brands has dual screen capabilities and stuff like that. So it's like the industry's constantly evolving and having to evolve and forcing things to evolve. Like it's all because of just technology. Like, and so people are really innovative. Yeah, yeah. And it drives innovation. Yeah.
It's so interesting because there's always that phrase I've heard. It's either adapt or you perish, because everything that we see in life, mind you may not like it, but at the end of the day, adaptation and adaptivity is very informative, and it's really needed in this world that we live in, because mind you may not like it, but at the same time, you also get to learn. I think that's the great thing about life. You never stop learning. And also at the same time too, as well, when you keep adapting, you keep learning. And I apply this to the combative natures of what we do in LFC and all different sports and art forms and crafts. God dang, man, you're constantly learning, you're constantly on the grind, which brings me to what you were doing. You just talked about it before you came on the shizzo here. Man, you're doing your thing for Session Girls. You're doing your thing in the session wrestling community. Shout out to Jennifer Thomas, aka Jenny Bloody Valentine. Badass site featuring some badass women. I'm talking about you, Ziva Fey. I want to talk about the session world for a second here. Many different great clients, many different preferences. Sessions wrestling, put me in a head scissor, put me in a body scissor, beat me up, chew me up, and spit me out. Bada boom. So I got to ask you, Ms. Ziva Fey, talk about the Session Girls world, because you're killing it on that front as well.
Thank you so much. I love Session Girls. Yes, shout out to Jennifer Thomas. Thank you so much for creating and running this platform, allowing all of us beautiful women to be on it. It is a blessing. It has changed my life for the positive. I have met so many, at this point, friends on Session Girls, amazing clients, repeat clients, love to beat people up. Different preferences. Because I'm a black belt, I do a lot of ball busting because I can control my kicks and not break things, but hurt them in the way you want, or not hurt them in the way you want. And I'm really, really leg strong. Put you in a head scissor, toss you around. Today I actually basically came straight from this, did my makeup, ate a little bit, came on the show. I was doing a very amazing and long working hard session. It was an hour and a half of like semi-competitive fantasy wrestling. And we were just trying to put each other in, submissions and pins and get our shoulders to the mat and count to 10. And we were both working up a sweat real hard. And I won.
Got the W. Yep.
Yeah, I'm feisty. I'm small. I'm not the strongest. If you have 100 pounds on me, let's be real, you got 100 pounds on me. However, I am classically trained in fighting and I'm feisty, so like I know my locks, you know what I mean? So I did a few I think I got his arm in a almost like an arm bar lock, like if he would have moved it, not tapped, it would have broke. Yeah, I think twice.
Okay.
You really really fun, and there was some ball busting involved. It's just a really fun day, really fun session. you can book me through email. And I have a space in Vegas that is like my personal space that we can wrestle in, ball bust in. However, if it's in Phoenix or when I'm traveling, unless I have a hotel, usually need you to provide the space, the hotel or but it's an amazing. I'm on also WB 270, I believe is what it's called.
Yes.
Might be, yeah, you familiar?
I've heard, yep.
I was like, I don't want to butcher or say like the letters or numbers the wrong order. So not only am I on Session Girls, but I'm on WB 270, which is kind of like Session Girls, but much more rudimentary. You can still find girls on it.
I understand, and I also look at it from a stance too as well. First and foremost, this one over here doing the overhead arm bars. I know as soon as you mentioned, I'm like, God dang, stretching the arm, a little Fujiwara arm bar. I get you. But
Yes.
Right. And at the same time, I got to ask you too, because you brought up something that's very popular in the community here. I talk about ball busting here because, man, I know about the fetish modeling scene. There's foot fetishes. There's so many different fetishes. And I always enjoyed it because I look at it from a stance too as well. As people, we're all very unique. We all have our different preferences of what we like in our sessions with the clientele. So I wanted to ask you from the ball busting side of things, because you are very popular in that category, like you mentioned here. I want to ask you about that. How did that come into fruition with that? Because that is a very popular category, is the ball busting category.
It is. It's very popular. I'm trying to make more content of it for my own store to sell. That's more extreme or hit real. I try to do real kicks, no holdbacks for guys that really take it for my store. However, if you hire me, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm a really consensual, nice dom. I like to ask your limits and test where we're at and test, okay, this is a 12%, 10%, this is a 50%, this is, you know what I mean? Test out with the client and be like, okay, I don't want to go past this level. Gotcha. Because I am classically trained in Taekwondo. I can do really good. I can really control my kicks. Yeah, I use the top of my foot. It's just really fun and it's cathartic for me. I'm like, I get paid for this. This is amazing. However, I don't take advantage of that opportunity. It's a blessing that I'm paid for it, and I continue to get paid for it by, not abusing that power and being responsible for it and being a good ball busting dom, because I have those skill sets to kick you properly with making you as hurt or as not hurt as you want to be. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Kind of reminds me, even though it is ball busting, and we use the term here busting, but you also know the kicks and how you do it, just to make it. I'm going to use the two S's here, folks, to make it safe and spectacular all at the same time. So you're looking at safe and spectacular.
I love that. Safe and spectacular. Yes. I got started with really doing it truly through having my black belt, and I had a client that asked me to do it, and I was just really like, I'm sorry, you're paying me for this? This is amazing. You want money
Mm-hmm.
to money to
do that, to kick you in the nuts. Yes.
Money to what? What?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, and it was just kind of took off from there. Yeah.
I look at it from a stance too as well, and I think what Jenny's provided with a lot of you girls too with sessions wrestling, the women's athletes on fire. I always compared it to this, and I always think this is very badass. And I compare it to LFC. Think of LFC as like an amplified version of Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, where we had so many talents there from the '80s and especially to the Netflix series. If you get that Glow factor in there, powerful women, sex appeal, kicking ass, and taking names at the same time, that's money right there. So Glow kind of has that similar comparison if you actually kind of think of it.
Yes, I actually from what I've seen of LFC, which, I'm excited to get really into it so I can really get into the nitty-gritty and understand the true inner workings. But it really does look like they share similar vibes.
I mean, you got
that sexy, high quality appeal.
I also look at it from a stance too as well. You got a badass coach who's also a fighter in her own right, Miss Audrey Monique. So I mean, you're learning from a lot of the best. And some people say what they will about Audrey because she has her way of being feisty, much like a Terry Feisty Fist London, much like all the girls, because all you ladies are out there very competitive and very feisty in your own right. So I mean, you got learning from the best with Audrey Monique, and you have great teammates in Shaylin and Danica De La Rouche and JoJo the Hammer Hamner. So I mean, the blue team, the team healthy male, is really set in stone coming for LFC 37 back to the mansion. And besides the fact that you're doing all this stuff, we talk about being a go-getter, being very unique in what you do, because you are a unique human being, Miss Ziva Fey. God dang it. You're doing your thing on the podcast side of things too. Petroglyph Podcast with Gerald Saunders, I believe, is your co-host. I've seen some of the work, given a platform to tell people their stories and really have a badass time at the same time. Talk about this podcast.
Oh my gosh, you've done your research. Thank you. Okay. So yes, my co-host is Gerald Saunders. We have Petroglyph Podcast. It is an industry podcast for all your Southwestern industry leaning news. And we interview various people in the sex worker industry, adult industry, photographers, subs, doms, models, producers who want to tell their story and give advice and answer our fun questions so we can get to know them a little better. And it's just been a really fun hour with really fun people like that. We just sit on the couch and talk to them for just like this for an hour, and we're just like,
Yep.
tell us your story, spill the tea, give us some good advice. What sites do you like to use? And it's really a good, insightful time to help the industry and the community stay safe, especially for like a new sex worker or a fan that really wants to transition from maybe being a session client to being a producer or something like that. Uh, to also getting to know us as people. So yeah, it's been a really fun journey with the podcast.
What I
Check
like
it out.
about it. What I like about it too is, and I'll put the link in the description to the pod after the shizo here. But what I like about it too is there's nothing like it. And what I mean by that is you don't see a lot of podcasts that really go into the industry like you do and really analyze, dissect, and decipher it. I mean, what's great about being a podcast, and I say this to any podcaster out there, go for it, provide your talents, showcase your charisma, variety, know the topic that you want to talk about, and have some fun, especially with interviews, because not a lot of people know who they may be, but you're going to know by the end of that hour. Make the most of your time. And I think with what you do with your shows, that's very apparent to what y'all do. So I got to give you much respect in that, because it's not easy to do a podcast, but there's also a place for it to let your voice be heard.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that from one podcaster to another. It's been a really fun journey. I'm past my 10th one, and I interviewed a bunch of people at my first AVN. This show I'm working on right now, compiling them all together, but over the 4 days, I interviewed a total of, I believe, 56 people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Short 1 to 3 minute interviews because, like, lots going on. They've got lines, autographs, things to sell, stuff like that. But it's been a really fun journey, and I'm really excited for you guys to see what else I have in store.
And for me, I'm going to say this, man. You're talking about AVNs here, which is the mecca. It's like the Oscars of the adult entertainment industry. Big time. So, I mean, for you, that must have been a great experience to be at your first AVN and really just see a lot of these badass talents and great awards and great, categories.
For my first one, it was a really pleasurable experience. I was really, truly blessed. I actually got in, I wouldn't say for free because I did a lot of work. Not only was I working for my podcast, but I was working with the podcast under Excitement Magazine. So I had the pleasure of working with Gerald Saunders for Excitement Magazine. So all of those interviews are also going to be used for the magazine as well. So we kind of were double dipping because work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And that Excitement Magazine needed an interviewer. So I was like, I want to interview for my podcast. Can we share the rights? They said yes. So I'm like, so yeah, I got into AVN, you know what I mean? Not like as a exclusive model, but as press. And that was a really cool feeling. Yeah. It was a cool experience. Met some idols, met some famous people, met some YouTubers that are not like adult industry people. They're YouTube, you know what I mean? They're YouTubers. Uh, since you're a podcaster, you might know the Therapy Gecko.
Yes.
I was like, I love your work. And I made him interview me and I interviewed him.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. And well, that also adds to my point here because I look at it from a stance too as well. Folks, there's this thing when it comes to, and I've interviewed talents outside of LFC from wrestling in many different aspects and facets of life. What I love about it too with media is we talk about making the most of your time and, work smarter, not harder. There's this little thing called media row where, they constantly go down the lines. And if you're on that media row, like you said, you're interviewing them, or they're interviewing you, having the role reverse, so to speak. There's nothing like media row.
I'm finding that out. And also, there was a few people I interviewed who were like in the media realm per se, where they were lawyers or they were spokesmen. So they weren't podcasters but they had that booming voice, that booming, boisterous, bright presence on camera, and I was just like, hello, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, hello, okay, I'd like to tell you about my product, yeah. And I was like, so you've done this before? And like a few people were like, yeah, in my day job, I'm actually a lawyer, but I sell sex toys on the side, or, that, yeah, like that happened, that really happened. So it's really cool experience to find that out slowly, that like, oh, media people are the best people to interview. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that scene in Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler and Winona Ryder. I'm going to take everybody back here to 2002, where they're all going down the line of what did you want to do and what you actually do for a living. It's like the guy in there, he goes, I wanted to be a magician. What do you do now? I run a pornographic website. Okay, I guess that makes people happy in a sense. Like you have like that seed of Mr. Deeds from a comedic aspect, but you also see different people, whether they may be a magician, but they may do some adult work, or they may do this on the side, or they may do this. So, I mean, it's kind of like I do this by day, do this by night. We're like real action superheroes in a sense, but we're also changing and we're also really evoking a lot of emotions out of people.
A lot of it for doing, and for viewers, this is not derogatory. This is a blessing. This is like a very, good thing, is being a session girl, and having this experience and being on OnlyFans, interacting with fans a lot, is I get to be kind of a sexual therapist in a way, which, disclaimer, I'm not. But a lot of people open up to me about things, experiences that are going on in life for them at the moment. And ask me, maybe they're asking me for personal counsel or advice or just validation, because they're just needing to vent and they just need somebody who gets it and isn't going to kink shame them and is going to be like, yeah, you're not, no, that's normal. No, like, other people experience that. That's, yeah, I get it. Um, and that's also a blessing in itself, that like I get to help people get through some emotional turmoil over their sexual experiences and turn it into a positive, or talk them through it and turn it into a positive. Yeah.
Which I got to say, being open with that, I think is wonderful. And I say this, whatever kink or whatever you're into, and I've always been to this because reason why also this podcast, Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, one of the biggest influences in my life and biggest influences my mother. My mother made me who I am, and I love my mother to death. So what I try to do is take the teachings that she's taught me about not judging people and really having an open mind. I always look at it from a stance too as well. Man, whatever you like, whatever you're into, just do it. Have some fun. As long as you're not hurting anybody, that's the wonderful thing. But also, if you're talking about your sexuality, which is very normal, I know it kind of can be uncomfortable when you find that person to talk to. Doesn't matter if it's a therapist, whatever, as long as you have that listening ear and you keep your eyes and your ears open, I think that's wonderful. And also at the same time, whatever you're into, whatever you love, especially within this thing that we call life, just go out there and do it, and don't be ashamed of what you like and what you want to do.
I love the note that you put, as long as it's not hurting somebody. You know what I mean? As long as it's not hurting you to an egregious degree, like cutting, if your fetish is cutting off your whole arm, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, right.
Maybe not. Maybe like little, if you're kind of, what's the word, masochistic, and you like some pain. maybe there's some other pain, and we can maim you like in little or what, you know what I mean? Like, and don't hurt other people non-consensually. But whatever you're into, if it's not hurting somebody non-consensually, and if they ask to be hurt, then that's its own thing. You guys have fun. Um, I'm all like, more power to you. What two adults do in their bedroom is
Right. And
I don't care. I don't. It's beyond me.
we're
Yeah.
adults. At the end of the day, we're adults. And I also look at it from a stance too, as well. That also risens up the sex appeal and the sex side of things, which I get and I understand. But also at the same time, with what you girls are doing in the session girls world and the fetish world, I think what's great about it too is as well. And again, this is my pop culture nerdiness coming out. Man, back in the day when MTV had reality shows like True Life, and they had a show, it was an episode called True Life, I'm a Dominatrix, and you got to see the world of the dominatrix side of things, and the dom is a very popular category. So I wanted to mention this to you as well, Ms. Ziva Fey. Like, they showcased, being the mistress or being what have you, the ball and gag, the world of the dominatrix thing. So for those who are unfamiliar with it, or maybe want to get into more of a, finding out about it, a little more info, True Life did an episode of back of it, like the mid 2000s. They had that on MTV. So I always kind of learned about the dominatrix world, if you would say, from MTV, because it was a very popular episode at the time.
That's really cool. And I think I might meet, please don't be like, Ziva said, and it's not true. I think it's on Netflix, maybe Hulu or something like that. And it's called Bonded, and it's about being a dominatrix.
Okay.
There's a show about being a dominatrix on Netflix. It's like, and the thing that's really cool about being a dominatrix is, like, I actually disclaim this to people all the time, is I'm like, I'm probably my style of doming, you'll never meet, you'll never see ever again, because I have a training in martial arts, which a lot of dominatrixes don't. They're for the ball and leather and chains. Me, I'm there for more protocol, like martial arts protocol, ball busting, and also I'm very consensual. So, like, I have a little bit of a joke. Like, it's sort of a joke, but it's also true that, like, I'm like a judge at the beginning of the session. I'm like, are you here of your own free will? Did anybody coerce you and lead you into this? Are you know what I mean? Like, have the judge like ask you those like little questions about, like, do you really want this? Uh and I feel like it's been really appreciated from my clients, because they're like, oh, I'm like, I'm not truly sadistic, even though I like what I do. I want to bring you back. I don't want to hurt my toys to the point where I can't play with my toys anymore. I want my toys to come back. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, being a dominatrix, there's a big umbrella and all different types of doms and different ways you can dom. And virtually dom, IRL session dom, sexual. Are you sexually doming? Some women peg some guys and fist them and stuff like that. I'm head scissoring them and ball busting, and I know some women that wedgie guys. I've done a few wedgies actually. Yeah, doming is just, there's so many different things. Yeah.
I will say this: you're kind of like with the start of it, how you're judging. I think it's the best way to go into a podcast or anything in life. It's almost like the sadistic way, like you talk about, like that sadistic side. It's the sadistic way of kind of giving them the accommodation and comfortability. Because with anybody or any person that you're working with, you want to have that accommodation and comfortability factor. So you're kind of like about the accommodation and comfortability right on that side of things.
Yeah. So, like, being a dominatrix, which for our new models who want to jump into doming, or our lovely subbies, being a dominatrix, that's your role, is to be the responsible one. You're in the role of power, obviously. So sometimes the sub can be asking for things that they truly don't want because they're too excited. And they also want to please you, like me, you as the dominatrix. So I'm just using the cutting off the arm example, like, oh, mistress, please, like, cut off my arm. Like, it feels so good. Just like, you have my whole arm, you can have my whole arm, just cut it off. And you have to be like, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, we're, you're too excited, but mistress is gonna flog you till you're like lashed and bruised, and you'll have to wear long sleeves for 2 or 3 weeks, because you want your arms to be hurt. You know what I mean? Like there are parameters and things as a dominatrix that you also have to work with, because your sub can be really excited, which isn't a bad thing. It's just like that responsible factor.
Right. And I think that goes with anything. And I look at it from a stance too as well. Like we're covering a lot of the topics here with the Dom world. I think it's very incisive and a very, very just really interesting and insight that goes into it. Excuse me. It's one of those things too as well. Really being open-minded, like we mentioned earlier in the program here, really diving into what you love. And we talk about the preferences, but really being open-minded in anything in life is a wonderful thing. And I definitely suggest anybody, if y'all want to check out some great Dom work, check out Ziva Fey and all the amazing facets of what she does. And I got to ask you, man, turning it back to LFC here, because we talked about the fight coming up with Ruby Booty Vuitton, another amazing talent like yourself. Here, the L and lingerie fighting championships. Lingerie is a big thing. I always say to the girls, make the most of your time. From the moment you go out there, everything is a moment in a memory. So make the most of your time, like we touched upon, especially in that ring. For you, Ziva Fey, the lingerie side of things, looking good and having some attitude at the same time. What can we expect from the lingerie side of things? Because you got to have that style to profile. What are you thinking for the lingerie side of things when we go into?
I need to coordinate with Ruby Booty Vuitton. From the looks of the calling card,
Yeah.
it seemed like orange, yellow, red is kind of a theme for this team.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's set in stone. So I actually I should send an email and see if there's any preferences. But I'm gonna bring an assortment of lingerie is what my ultimate plan is, to bring an assortment of some pretty hot, 2-piece, 1-piece lingeries, and see what the coach, when we get there, is gonna be like. That's too frilly. That's good. No, this is, or I'm gonna be like, oh, this is gonna rip. Oh, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, I have a few pieces in mind, but I don't want to like give anything too away because I want you guys to tune in, obviously. The team is called. Remind me what the team is called again. It's like
Yes. So the blue team is now the Team Healthy Male team. One of the sponsors, Team Healthy Male. Yep.
Healthy Male. So why is it called Healthy Male now?
Okay, so for those that don't know, all right, we'll explain to everybody. So Healthy Male is one of the big sponsors. Healthy Male provides a lot of great products for everyone who has erectile dysfunction or who has anything in regards to baldness. Team Healthy Male has become a very big sponsor for LFC, providing us a lot of wear and a lot of great stuff, especially Rival Gear with the Rival Gear boxing gloves. Folks, if you've not checked out Healthy Male or Rival Gear boxing with some badass gloves, that's what you get to see. So Team Healthy Male is really coming to fruition with the LFC brand, baby.
Because I was like, it was called Team Blue, so I was thinking blue. Then
Okay.
I know it was called something man. Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Thank you. And then so I was seeing red, orange, yellow is kind of now more of their okay. So
And it fits too, because Healthy Male, not just in, like I mentioned, they're like pills for erectile dysfunction and also hair loss, but it's also very fitness. They got their own app for those who haven't seen it. It's very, very good to really get your body in tone and everything from the fitness side of things. So it's a wide array for the old
to be a healthy man.
Healthy Male. Yes. Thank you. That's
Okay.
exactly what it is. So, and I think you being a part of this new team really shows a lot of the future that's going on with LFC, adds more teams, adds more brands. And god dang it, woman, you going from being an LFC prospect to an LFC fighter. And I'm so excited to see what you and the Ruby Booty Vuitton do in their LFC debut. That's actually what I'm really, really looking forward to. And I say this sincerely because it's a badass card so far. But when you got newcomers like both of y'all making your debut, y'all going to be safe and spectacular, but you need to exceed those expectations. And I know you will.
Appreciate it. You know what? I'd love to talk to you really quick about what's kind of in store. Do you know if it's just kind of boxing? Because I know what I see on the cards that it says like one girl has this style, one girl has this style. Like, is it no hold bars? Like,
I will,
what do you
I will say
Yeah.
the only thing LFC, like I said. Now, mind you, I love this podcast, and I've been familiar with the brand for a while and doing what they do, and I love what I get to do here for Lingerie Fighting Championship.
Yeah.
Say in the title, a little bit of MMA, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of clothing. Everybody's got boxing, everybody's got the pro wrestling background, so it's a mixture. So if you want to see some badass women tackling and really going at it and really showcasing their styles and applying their craft, it's a little bit of everything, and I think we're going to get that, especially with you. It's a variety, baby.
So we're just basically we're gonna go at it.
Just no shots to the head, of course, because you can't mess this up right here.
Right. But we're okay. That sounds wonderful. I'm super excited. I mean, feeling cocky. But also it might be a little hard, but well, just because Booty and I have a really great working relationship when we've worked together for so long, and it's going to be the beginning of our tour. We got to fight each other at the beginning of the tour. So I was like, but you know what I mean? We are such good sports, and I'm very like, it's all in the fun of the fight, the fairness of the fight. You know what I mean? It's sportsmanship. So it's not like it's like a real cat fight. You know, we're going to shake hands. You know what I mean? So for me, because of that, because we're gonna shake hands, and because it's like this is a real sport, this is a real fight, this is real.
So you get to see the pro wrestling side of things and everything that goes into it. And I say this with anybody, folks, if you want to check out LFC, check out Sean Donnelly, Sean at LFCfights.com for any questions. LFCfights.com is the place to be when it comes to lingerie fighting championships. Check us out on LFC_fights on Twitter, fights_LFC on Instagram, LFC Fights on TikTok. We are here, there, we are everywhere. And also with Ziva Fey, you're here, there, and everywhere. Before we close this out, let us know where we can find you, where the social media is. Where can we find you, Ziva?
Please, I'll give you my Linktree to link. You can find me basically if you Google Ziva Fey, ZIVAFEY. I'm on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter all together on all one word, all lowercase, ZIVAFEY. Typically, you can find me most places with that handle all together, all one word, all lowercase, ZIVAFEY. I am on everywhere. Many clips for sale. OnlyFans. I have a free OnlyFans for my lovely followers. If you guys are like, oh, I gotta check this girl out a little more, at Ziva Fey XXX. That's typically my cam handle. So if you want to see me cam, Sex Panther, you can talk to me. I do lots of fight camming, and fight sexting. So I'd love to role play with you about wrestling. You can find me all over the internet, everywhere that you can look, I'm there. Just kidding. But yeah, I'm basically everywhere at Ziva Fey.
Links will be in the description as well as Miss Ziva Fey's link tree. And I'm going to say this, folks, once more time. Valentine's Day, it's LFC 37, back to the mansion, Las Vegas, Nevada, 702, where my girl's at from the front to back. We got Ziva Fey against Ruby Booty Vuitton. We have, as we just saw announced on the LFC pages, we got four-time kickboxing world champion, Hall of Famer Holly Dunaway's in action against Black Team member Bella Inc. More to come. Stay tuned to the LFC social medias, and everything will be announced going into the Kizard. So, folks, enjoy the pay-per-view when we get there. LFCfights.com is the place to be. You could also check out this podcast on the VIP section of the LFCfights.com network. You go at season 4, season 5, season 6. You can check us out, Roku, LFC Network on Roku. If you got your Roku TV, download it, baby, because we got this show, we got Get Wet, we got so much great stuff in store for the LFC, and check out some badass fighters like Ziva Fey. And to close this out, what I will say is life is an art form, and we are all applying our crafts. And Ziva Fey, you apply yours in amazing fashion. And as I always say with this show, folks, it's the title. It's not just the name of this podcast. It's a mindset. Beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Ziva Fey, ZF, the place to be. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this debut.
LFC 37, baby. Go get it. Buy it. Tickets, pay-per-view, WAP website. What are you doing? Go get it. Valentine's Day. Beatings.
Best Valentine's Day ever.
Boom.
Fight, fight, fight. Gonna kick some